What's up, everyone? I am Jeff. This is my wife, Shaleia Divine. We are twin flame spiritual gurus, and this is podcast number 2.
Number 2.
And today we're going to be talking about neurodivergence. And surprise, surprise, both of us are actually neurodivergent in unique ways, and we're going to get into that. So Shaleia is kind of the studied one, the boss of this one. She's had some good breakthroughs, and
I have, and it's a large part of it is thanks to my twin flame, Jeff, who did a little chat GPTing on me. So I'll start at the beginning. You know, in our podcast number 1, we discussed just very briefly in passing that we found out we were neurodivergent. And so I thought, I'd like to talk about that first, because in our next podcast, this is the second podcast, so in our third podcast, we're going to do our origin stories, and I think it's going to give more context to our origin stories if you guys know the dealio with our neurological wiring. So you may or may not know that the month of April is Autism Awareness Month, or the autistic community likes to call it Autism Acceptance Month, which I like that one. So both is fine for me though. And anyway, so it was about mid-April, and I don't know, I think I just had a slew of kind of off days. And when I'm off, it's hard on Jeff. He's not going to hide that fact. I mean, of course, it is for anyone who's partnered, right? So anyways, I was just in the middle of doing my nighttime routine in the bathroom, getting ready to go to bed. And lo and behold, Jeff knocks on the door with a piece of paper. And I know that it's serious. Like, if it's on a piece of paper, it's serious. It needs my utmost attention. And so he said, Shaleia, I think you're autistic, and I think you have ADHD. And I was like, oh no. My first feeling was like resistance, like, no, I do not. No. Screw you. This is really rude, and also I'm in the process of winding down and going to bed now. This is gonna sit on me all night long. Like, what is with this? So anyway, then after that initial resistance came up, I very distinctly heard a voice in my head that said, oh, we can't let anyone know. No one must know that we're not normal. And I could feel this overwhelming anxiety, like, it's okay if I know, and maybe Jeff knows, but it's not okay if anyone else knows. And then I could feel I put like a distance between myself and that voice. I became very curious, and I was like, okay, what is this voice, and why is it behaving and acting this way? And I realized, oh, that's the voice of my mask. And that, because simultaneously I was feeling like relief that I was, that I'm probably autistic. And I read through the sheet of ChatGPT, and I didn't resonate with ADHD, but I certainly resonated with autism. And like, honestly, that was all I could handle. And so I thought, yeah, like, this does kind of sum up my experience. I do kind of have these issues, like, around, for instance, like social relationships and communication. And I am kind of like, I like things a certain way, and like, I am highly sensitive. I do like to stim. I mostly like to like move my arms around like this. Enjoy and excitement. It's a really good like outlet and release. But yeah, I noticed that I definitely, that I would get overwhelmed very easily, that if I got too overwhelmed, I'd either shut down or I'd have a temper tantrum, like a meltdown. And I was like, wow, this explains why I couldn't just mirror exercise these things away. For the many of you that may or may not know here, that's one of the main spiritual tools that Jeff and I teach to heal twin flame separation and to heal one's mind, is using the mirror exercise. And I thought, like, I'm always triggered by the same things, when it comes to like a relationship with Jeff or even other people. And I feel like no amount of mirror exercise was really helping the issue. And it just got me thinking in a lot of ways, like what is going on. Either there's a block in me, or maybe I need to like upgrade or reassess the mirror exercise. But at the same time, it's really worked wonders in my life. So like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, it's autism. Oh, that's why, like, little things will just throw me off, or like I'll misunderstand something Jeff says, like in humor or in passing, and I'll like just grind on it for like hours or days. Like, what did he mean? Like, what is that? Like, why did he say that? Is there something I said, or blah blah blah? Like, just really over analyzing the situation. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is the problem. Like, it's because I've been undiagnosed. And when I was a teenager, I went through, was it like psychological testing or something? I think for like a learning disability. But from what I recall, like they never found anything. So I really just slipped through the cracks, because this was like not really a thing in the early 2000s. Like, autism was mostly associated with like mostly like white boys, and who had particular traits. And so I was like, I fell through the cracks like a lot of people can and do. And so I just feel like I went through like a mass awakening. And over the course of, say, like a month, I guess, I just been like moving through a lot of feelings, a lot of anger, grief, confusion, also lots of joy and lots of happiness and like lots of relief. And I felt like the person that had always been inside of me could finally come out. And one of the books that helped me a lot was this book called Divergent Mind by Janera Narenberg. And just reading about neurodivergence and autism in that book, it just made so much sense to me. And I related deeper and deeper to like, yeah, like autism. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's definitely me. Because there were times when I'd poke my head out the door to Jeff and I'd be like, I think I'm normal. Like I feel normal. And he's like, no, you're definitely autistic. And then I'd think about it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. But I'd have these waves of like, but I feel like normal. And part of it was because of my masking um, allowed me to pass as neurotypical. And one of the things I found in my research was that approximately 20% of the global population that we know of is neurodivergent, and that it always has been. As a human species, we have always had neurodiversity. I love that word. That's a good one. Yeah, there's always been people like me who have been different, have been highly sensitive, who are neurologically wired, not the same as the average set of people in the population. And they've also found this to be true in animal species. And actually, so far, animal species have been the most studied. They just call it highly sensitive. They don't call the animal species like neurodivergent or anything. But I've had enough pets throughout my life that I can tell the difference. Like my pets especially my female pets, very highly sensitive compared to other cats and dogs that I've had in my past while growing up. And so I can definitely attest, like, yep, it's everywhere. It's in
Mhm.
nature. And one of the beliefs, at least with animals, is that it's an evolutionary advantage and adaptation, so that the more highly sensitive animals are much more aware of the environment. And that can be helpful, say, if there's a predator lurking further off in the distance than what the other animals in the pack can be aware of, just as an example. Or something changes in the environment and the highly sensitive animal begins to adapt and change, or even maybe lead the rest of the pack or animals of its species to a different location, etc. Anyways, not here to talk about animals, but it is cool. Yeah, it made me realize, like, this is much more commonplace, but there's still a lot of stigma in society because it's not the status quo and it seems to go against the norm. And I was told that growing up my whole life, like, that I'm weird, that I'm not normal, that I need to change, that we don't act this way, or, like, just that I was different, and everyone around me was like, "Yo, you're different and like you shouldn't be." Um and so I took that as a communication that I needed to change, and so I would continue to change and try to perfect myself and be like everyone else. And autism, it shows differently in women than it does in men. And I was able to blend in a lot better as I got older, but I always stood out, I noticed.
Mhm.
I always felt, and I know I looked like a black sheep among everyone else, no matter how hard I tried to be like everyone else. And then I just kind of stopped caring to a large degree as I became more and more of an adult. And now I feel like permission to like really not care, because this is how I am and this is how I'm wired, and that it is good. There's nothing wrong with me or with you if you are neurodivergent or feel like you could be neurodivergent. There's nothing wrong with you. You were born this way. And the issue is that you were born into a neurotypical mask. Everyone treated you neurotypical. And so um, you had no choice really but to become this way and adapt. And most likely for many of us, fell through the cracks because maybe we excelled in school, or, we um, we're able to like blend in really well. But that blending in, or they call that camouflaging, it comes at an extremely high price, because you're constantly having to be someone that you're not. And there's a heavy price tag attached to that. Like, I noticed that my mask would filter a lot of things that my autistic self would just doesn't have just can't handle, have no time for. And but I noticed that came at a price. Like, I would be moody for days or off. I would have to like cave out for a long time. And yeah, it was, or people would just be like, "Yo, what's with her?" And I'm just like, "I don't want to talk to anyone." Like, just it came at a really high price. And now I feel like I can communicate my needs so much better. And because we're still so early in, just like a little over a month, like, both Jeff and I are still learning about how to
Mhm.
accommodate my needs. I'm learning to express my needs. And which leads me to the second part I want to talk about, which was I learned that I was ADHD after reading the book Divergent Mind. The autism thing was like huge for me. It was big because I think I'd always, like, the way media has portrayed autistic people. I was like, that's not me. Like, I don't feel and look like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, for instance, or that character from The Rain Man, like cold and really like mathematical, scientific, genius savant. Like I'm more creative and I'm more like uh yeah, like different. Like I'm just not like that. I'm not like that. I feel like way more empathetic than say like those characters. Like just the way that like media has portrayed it. It did give me a particular bias, and so it went undetected even in myself. And I took a test once, an autistic test once, like 2 years ago. But I realized that I didn't answer to what my actual proclivities were. I was answering to what I knew were the right answers. Um, yeah, like I was answering through my mask rather than like how I actually am. And so when I took several online autistic tests, it I was like, definitely you're autistic. And the test I took for masking, camouflaging was really high, like higher than the average autistic female. So I became really good at trying to like blend in. But
I didn't know for 11 years.
you didn't know.
I need a
You're the
partner.
closest person to me, and like you're very like intuitive and highly sensitive and like very perceptive. And yeah, you can find me, you can get it.
No.
It just was like a stroke of insight for Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, I feel like one of my major goals now is to love that part of myself that has felt that shame and that burden of um n- like being told that there's something wrong with me, that there's something wrong with being different when that's literally my neurological wiring, and that it's actually like hereditary. So I know, yeah, like probably I feel like my bio mom had autism. So like, yeah, I feel like it's part of my responsibility to come out. This is why I'm partly sharing this, because I know that there's more and more of us out there that are either undiagnosed or are completely unaware of it and are scared to look within ourselves and scared to ask that question of how am I neurologically wired because of how a society would see you and treat you. For me, I feel pretty almost like an anarchist. Like I don't give a fuck. I recently got kicked out of a yoga studio because I was autistic. There was a local yoga studio here, and I was just being myself. Like I'm not a disruptive person. I'm really sweet. I'm really wonderful. I'm really funny and quirky, and I'm really warm, and I'm very sensitive, and I am very attuned socially to the social environment and to people. It just takes me a lot longer to process and understand and recall like what I'm processing, the like of the communication or the yeah connection between me and said person. There's a lot that my brain has to like see or process, like I was saying. Anyway, so I had been to several of their classes before over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. So I had a very clear expectation of the level of volume of music that would be in the class. And this particular class, the music was much louder than all the previous classes with this instructor, particular instructor, and other instructors. And the volume was competing with the volume of her voice. And it was pretty upbeat music. And this was only 9 a.m., by the way, which is fine. Okay. But like, it was quite upbeat, like MC Yogi and like others that were like that. And I was already starting to teeter on like, I had a pretty stimulating morning. I'm going to get thrown into overwhelm rather than go to a yoga class and have my system be reset and focus on my exercise, which is really important. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. And So I asked the yoga teacher in the middle of her class, and I did so in a very like gentle way as she was walking by me. I just whispered like, "Hey, it's a little loud. Can you turn it down?" And she turned it down, seemingly turned it down. And I think the music had just dipped at that moment because she asked, "Oh, is that better?" I'm like, "Yeah, like seems like it's better." But then actually but then notice then actually the volume didn't change. And so it was about halfway through the yoga class, and my circuits were literally frying. And I'm like, I am going to pick up my mat and leave in literal tears. Like, I'm on my absolute edge here. And I didn't feel like it was fair for me to have to leave. I didn't think that um me advocating for myself would be an issue. I feel like there is a way for people who are um like neurodiverse like me to peacefully coexist with people who are neurotypical where everyone wins. And I know like even the person next to me was feeling like the music was a little too loud. And so I stood up and, I had to walk to her. She was in the middle of the class, and she was taking us through the postures. And I said quietly to her, I'm like, look, I'm autistic and this music is very stimulating. Can you please turn it down? And she was like, oh, like I could see like I shocked her, like, oh, you know. And so she turned it way down, like to proper background music. And I could finally relax and I could finally take in the class and, like, okay, I'm going to be okay. And yeah, I noticed that some of the older ladies after class, I think they were uncomfortable with me. The instructor, she asked like after, if the volume was okay with for me, and I said yes, and I thanked her. But she went and complained to her the the owner of the yoga studio, and I've also taken her classes. And she approached me before a yoga class was to begin that she was teaching, and she said that I was being disruptive. And I felt like that is actually a really dangerous stigma to put on someone who is autistic, calling them disruptive. And I told her that I don't believe I was being disruptive and I'm not here to be a burden on anyone, but the music was very loud. And I told her, like, look, I was like on the edge of tears and I was going to leave class. And she's like, oh, you should have just left. It's okay. People have done that sometimes. And I looked at her like, really? Uh huh. Okay. I don't think that's right or fair. And I mean, that's what I was thinking, right? I know that this teacher is an older lady, she's very fragile, and comes from the generation where mental health is still is quite taboo and stigmatized in general. And so she's not really with the times. And I just had compassion for her. I'm like, wow, like I think you're gonna really struggle, like as our area continues to grow and expand and develop into something that is not like what it is now. Um, which is like a really kind of like crunchy local culture, very narrow-minded. And so I just let her talk it out, and I told her how my feelings were, that it was quite loud and that I've never had an issue in any of the other yoga classes with the music being loud, and I've never disrupted a class. And she said, "Oh, maybe you can just signal, with your hand or something, and maybe you can get private lessons." And I was just like, felt like, oh, you're just trying to like isolate me. Like, you are making me the problem rather than your studio should be the one making accommodations. Like, that your studio is the one that has a problem. So I decided after this class, I'm not going to return. And I don't need to be in an environment that's so like stingy and backwards like that and cruel and scared. And I just really had compassion for her. I'm like, wow, like
Those are
You've
some choice words.
Yeah, I know. Well, they are choice words because that's how I honestly felt. Like, this is yoga. Like, you're supposed to honor yourself. Like, I'm hearing what she's saying, all the yogic teachings and sayings that are coming out of her mouth, but she doesn't believe what she says. And so I thought, yeah, whatever I don't belong here. Like, you don't believe what you say. So I can't be I can't be in this environment where someone just lies or is a hypocrite. And so I had half my past left, and I didn't even bother asking for a refund. Like, here, just have the money. I'm out of here. But I felt really good advocating for myself, and I felt really good putting it out there in consciousness that there are people just like me, and that we are coming out, and that it's really important that the world recognizes and honors neurodiversity in the same capacity that we have been learning to honor and recognize external diversity, like someone's skin color or someone's sexuality or someone's religion or culture. Those are all they're important, but they're external. We need to also be thinking about accepting someone's internal, their neurological wiring and makeup. So that was really powerful for me. Now, this leads me to the second part I wanted to talk about is how I've been managing my autism and ADHD. So, like I said, when I read the book Divergent Mind, I saw the chapter, or I read through the chapter on ADHD, and I'm like, oh gosh, I think that is me. And then I reread the paper that you gave me from ChatGPT, and I was like, yeah, this is me. I definitely am ADHD,
Yeah.
and it's also hereditary. And I immediately thought of my bio dad. He definitely has those traits. So I was like, okay, it's not so much my autism that's causing me problems, because I've been learning to quickly adjust and to speak for my needs for my autism. But my ADHD can like ruin my life and run my life into the ground. And there's a book on um, ADHD that's like the book on it. Gosh, what is it called? Um, Driven to Distraction. And was he said that it's extremely dangerous to go undiagnosed, that there's like a portion of the prison population that is undiagnosed.
25%.
I think it was
what he
30, 25 or 30. It was
25.
really high.
Yeah.
Most kids in juvie, ADD, ADHD, people that a portion of traffic accidents, car accidents, ADHDers. Yeah, like basically it'll ruin your life. And I've actually seen it ruin people's lives. People that I've actually personally known or come very close to like ruining their life. And I was like, oh, like this is actually a serious, like this condition is more serious and threatening than autism. And I really do need to take it seriously, because I felt like really in a precarious situation when you and I first met. Like, I was always struggling to hold down jobs. I struggled with like organizing and like focus. Like, I felt like I was just aimlessly wandering, not really sure what I was doing except go to my job. I could go to my job, but I'd always get fired. It was so hard to like be employed.
Yeah.
And I could go to my spiritual mentor's house like once or twice a week and receive my spiritual instruction. And I was always on time. My autism always made sure I was on time for that one. But yeah, so the main thing that I've been learning in to handle my autism and my ADHD, because they go together in this, is working on the foundations of my life. And this is like the foundation that everyone is learning or should learn or needs to learn. And that's sleep, diet, and exercise. And I got
Hold on. It's really important.
Can you say it one more time?
Okay. In order to manage your autism and your ADHD, you need to have good sleep.
Sleep,
You need to have a good diet
diet,
and good exercise.
exercise.
Yeah.
Sleep, diet, and exercise.
And of course we've heard this, like everyone needs to do this. And it's particularly important for autistic and neuro ADHD people to do it. I can't speak for all of neurodivergent people, but I can speak for the ones that I have. But of course, these are really important and foundational to have a healthy, long life, and everyone should do these things. But yeah, I noticed that if I'm not exercising, I go to the dark place, is what I call it. Like every day, like I have to exercise. And I've just like over the past week or two, um, I've started a actual gym routine. We have a home gym, and I'm down there and I'm doing my cardio and I'm doing strength training, and I'll do a little bit of yoga. I'm just kind of giving the yoga thing a break. I still love yoga and I plan on doing it. And I especially like doing it before bed as a wind down. But right now, I really need to focus on my strength training and my cardio. So I've been really happy with that and noticing like my ADHD is mostly entirely managed because of my exercise and my sleep and my healthy diet. We have Divine Dish for our healthy diet, and it's wonderful. I have a man that cooks. Thank God. I love that. I was really not that great at feeding myself throughout my life.
And if you have trouble feeding yourself, check out Divine Dish or Divine Glow Coaching, which will help you with all of these things: sleep, diet, and exercise. And the food it's bomb.
I noticed with autism, they're saying that because our mind is so like get like gifted so big that it does need like in order to expand and experience like the depth of your autistic gifts, exercise is really important. And with ADHD, you have so much energy that it needs to have proper physical outlets to fully express itself and to be managed. And so exercise really does that for me. I notice I'm calm throughout my day because I exercise. I always make sure I sweat. And then I know I've had a good exercise. I go in the gym for about an hour in the morning, and then I have a nice shower after and work the rest of the day. And yeah, that's a huge thing. I also take some supplements, and that's been really important as well. Um, yeah, taking the supplements. You see, oh, right here. Hi, honey. What's going on here? Don't mind me. I'm just a scientist.
Okay.
Yeah. So the exercise is like really important. I can't even emphasize that enough. It's taking me like almost like 40 years to finally get this one down. And I finally found my why. Like you have to have a why, right? That motivates you to exercise. And I could never really find it. Cause like I like looking good, but like it's just so superficial to look good, to want to look good. It just like I couldn't, that was never my why. And like sure, of course I want to be healthy and like live long, but that wasn't, I couldn't find that to be my true why. I don't really know why. I don't have a reason. But my real why, like the why that I needed that finally like laid roots and is starting to sprout, is because I need it for my mental health and wellness. And I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a spiritual guru, um, like I'm an artist. I need to make sure that my mental health is in good order. And
I'm not going to go on medication. I don't want to go on medication. And so I think,
You know, I've heard a lot of people say they don't actually like the medication
yeah,
because they become a zombie or they don't like who they become
it
on
numbs out. It numbs you out,
it. Mm-hmm.
you know?
And I've heard a lot of people say that like ADHD is their superpower.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get yourself in the right environment and once you have your sleep, diet, and exercise down on lock, then it unlocks your power.
Well, that's my thing. That's what I'm excited about. And that's what I'm working toward, is fully unlocking my power and my gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who is ADHD, and I think this is, I'm just speaking purely for ADHD, like maybe also for autistics, you need the right environment. And also I noticed for ADHD, like no sugar. I just recently had a nice dessert that was very sugary, though it was yummy. And I felt really bad and off the rest of the day, like extra bad and off. And I knew it was because my ADHD. It just doesn't, sugar is like not good for you if that's the condition that you have working.
And I had the same dessert. There was no problem for me at all.
Yeah, you had the same one. It didn't problem me. Oh no, I went to the dark place, and like my body just felt so bad, and my mind, I just felt so bad. So I realized, like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I've also kind of started eliminating alcohol. I never was a big drinker anyway, but like I would on occasion. But I noticed, like, as over the last 2 years or so, I noticed like I can't really have a glass of wine at night. It really disturbs and disrupts my sleep, which means I'm gonna have a shit day the next day. And like I just can't do that. But yeah, I feel like for me, I think I'm starting to go like actually dry. It doesn't sit well in my system anymore. It doesn't feel good. So those are the main things, that I've been using, yeah, like to support my autism and ADHD. I have other things like executive functioning apps that are really helpful.
Weighted blankets.
Weighted blankets. We have a 15-pound weighted blanket. Oh my God, it changed our life. I have
a
best sleep
25-pound
ever.
one too.
Yeah.
And it's not the best to sleep in because it kind of puts me in like a coma. But if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I throw on the weighted blanket. It calms me right down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like there's support tools that we have bought and that like help us, because Jeff is you neurodivergent. What are you neurodivergent about?
You want to talk about me now?
Yeah, I feel pretty like concluded with my piece.
Good. Well, I want to talk about unmasking, but I'm happy to talk about
sure.
my neurodivergence as well. And then
Jeff is HSP, which is a highly sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Elaine Aron, she was the one that first coined this. She's got the books, The Highly Sensitive Person, and a documentary out there called Sensitive. And that is a neurodivergence. It means that your depth of processing is different than someone who is neurotypical. You take in a lot more information than the average person, and therefore you need your processing method is different.
Yep.
Takes you time.
I'm also highly gifted, which I haven't done as much study as Shaleia on this. I'm more of a direct engagement in reality kind of person.
I like books. I like words.
I like you.
I like you too.
In order to get
sorry,
we're hitting feet
I'm just
here.
trying. No, I'm
chair
not.
feet. No.
Oh no, we're good. Just trying.
I like that you read books because then you kind of summarize them and give me, useful working information.
Yeah, I know.
Because I look for mental models that function. I'm a systems person. So I analyze reality in order to find systems that work, that solve problems. And that's what my two neurodivergences do when I put them together. A highly sensitive person, like Shaleia said, a deep processing, and a highly gifted person. Everything's been really easy for me in life. Solutions come really quickly. My intelligence level is quite high. I'm very emotionally and socially aware. My mind moves really fast. I need a very intense experience of life in order to feel satiated. Otherwise, I get bored really easily like
I've
that.
always been in awe of how you like interact with people. Like it's for me, it's like watching a movie. Like, wow, he knows how to like communicate like a person. Like yeah, like it just always blows me away. I love watching it. To me, it's like watching the Olympics. Like
Okay.
there's Jeff, he's talking to the lawnmower guy. Like yeah, he can say it like in a ways that I can't because I would just come off like awkward.
I think you're great.
And Jeff is like not awkward, and it's just wow.
So I really appreciate
Was
the
I
love.
awkward just
It's
now?
a little I guess part of being highly gifted is I have this sense of shyness, and like I don't I because I can come off like arrogant or as overly confident or offensive to people when I'm being myself on that element. So
Mm.
I've on some levels I feel that, and I also feel shy. And when we talk more about unmasking, it's about just letting go of how you think you're supposed to be in order to be pleasing to others, and instead just being yourself and being okay with that.
Yeah.
So, part of being HSP for me is I'm a very emotional person, and it takes me a long time to process my feelings. My emotions are really big, especially for a guy.
Well, and your moon sign's in Scorpio, which is the most like emotional sign you could have.
So I have this really intense, powerful mind that pulls patterns really well, and I have this deep propensity to dive really deep into things. And so, becoming a twin flame spiritual guru kind of just it's kind of a consequence of my my mind and my nervous system or the way I'm made up, because I dive really deep into my inner world and I discover things that no one else seems to be aware of, and I put things together that no one else has really seemed to have put together except for these spiritual masters of the past who've said the same things, and I'm discovering the same things within myself, like, oh, like I put together this model of reality basically on my own, and then I started to compare it to other models of reality, and like A Course in Miracles just validated everything I had already found,
Mm.
and strengthened it when I started to study A Course in Miracles more, and like Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings, same thing, just added more depth and breadth to what I had already discovered, and also things that I had discovered that no one else has really spoken about in depth.
Mhm.
So part of it for me is about being honest about how I am and authentic. And that's something I've worked, for my entire adult life to be is authentic, but also really just, talking about unmasking. And it's a small thing for me in the way that my mind works. Um, for Shalia, it's a much, much bigger thing,
Yeah.
because the mask is something that you put out in order to be pleasing, in order to interact and work in the world. But it also holds trauma. So behind that mask is trauma. Even if,
Yeah.
if it's a small thing, like I've been pretty good about being authentic as far as I know. Like we're only a month into this, so I might have big aha moments and awarenesses moving forward
I'm
for
also
me.
HSP as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have the same traits as you. Makes it extra fun and spicy.
Yeah, wow, sparkles. So for me, it's been about just honoring my needs. That's been my big thing. It's like, I've kind of been meet Shalia's needs kind of person in the relationship, and at my own expense to the point of my own exhaustion, and uh, I made sure my own needs are handled. But there's this element of not acknowledging or recognizing that, yo, I'm neurodivergent. I'm not like a regular guy. And so I can't play by the same rules for myself as a regular guy, in the
Mhm.
sense that a regular guy has a certain subset of needs, and this is kind of how he should act with those needs, and it's pretty well defined in our society. And so when I impose those rules upon myself, I'm actually not getting my needs met and I'm functioning on suboptimal. But when I honor my actual needs, and at first it was like, oh, this is weird. Like, I'm way too emotional. I pressed against this for years. Why do I play so many video games? Oh, well, video games help me process my emotions while keeping my super active, highly gifted mind engaged enough so that it's satiated so that I can actually sit down and feel through all these deep feelings and process them so I can move forward in my life. Because guess what? I'm going to take more big scoops of life and I'm going to ingest them and I'm going to sort through them because my highly gifted mind is deeply, intensely inquisitive. Like, it's so voracious. I have to answer these unanswered questions because if I don't, it's physically painful and psychologically and emotionally painful to not honor my wiring. And recognizing that I have unique wiring, and I'm sure we all in some way have some sort of unique wiring. Maybe I'm wrong, but many of us certainly do have unique wiring. And my main lesson here has just been honoring that wiring and recognizing that you can't change your wiring. It's hardwired. You're hard coded this way.
Yeah.
A lot of our teaching is about being able to change the code in your mind and in your being. And that's the ascension process. But coming up upon this, as Shaleia said, we couldn't mirror exercise it away. You're not going to change this. Wah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Couldn't mirror exercise it away.
It is your hard code. And so your wiring stays that way. So you kind of have to honor it. And in so doing, you're taking the path of least resistance and you're able to flow with life much easier. And I'm noticing that I'm making more sense to myself. And Shaleia makes, oh my God, more sense. She was this enigma, this impossible to please person that I bled to try to care for, and I never could seem to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong?
What's her deal? Yeah. Like,
I thought I had this one. I did it perfect, but it's still wrong. What's going on here? Like, what, 11 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have gone through their entire lives and not known.
Yeah.
But once I realized, oh, like, this is autism, and this is what I need to do to help. Oh, this is ADHD. Get the fuck out. Just let it go. Go for a walk, come back, let it run its course, and then you'll have an opportunity to kind of interact and smooth things out and help things along. And like, a lot of this is because she's not going into the gym and exercising. So she's getting pent up energy and emotions and it's exploding out. And I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing she can do about it. I can't calm her down. It just needs to come and pass. So, do you want to speak to any of that, or do you want to move on to the mask? Or
yeah, we could talk about the masking thing.
well, hold on. I feel like if you have anything to say about me, that's cool, because I have this propensity to kind of move on from
I don't really
being HSP or being highly gifted. I want to make sure that I didn't just push you along past it if you had something to say. And frankly, I'd be curious to hear if you have anything to say about it.
About HSP?
Or highly gifted.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you touched a lot up on it. I definitely can tell there's a very distinct difference between you and I. And I feel like
twin flames are complements.
We're complements.
Not carbon copies.
Yeah. I feel like my neurodivergence perfectly complements your neurodivergence. And I can see how, in my mind, you're like pretty much like neurotypical, even though you're not. You're more on, you have more traits that are like neurotypical. And
you're like my oracle. Like, whenever I can't figure something out, I'm like, I'm stuck with this problem. You're like,
Oh, well,
I
let me just
come
tell you,
in
it's
like
this.
Deus Ex Machina.
Here's the problem.
Here,
Okay,
there it is,
you
the
get it yet?
answer.
No, come give me some more examples of what the problem is. I'm like, oh,
That's pretty
that's the
funny.
problem.
But yeah, I think we pretty much covered that one. So
Okay.
the masking part, we did some research on masking as well as like what we've been experiencing ourselves, and we heard that it takes about 6 to 18 months to kind of like fully unmask. Although it's also like a lifetime process, but I think what I was understanding that the core of it takes about 6 to 18 months.
I feel like if you're well versed in our teaching, it goes a lot faster. It was very intense for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, there was a lot of
And
upheaval.
this last few days to a week, it started to make a lot more sense and settle in better.
Starting to gel. I
It
think
was really bad and crappy for weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of like anger and grief come up, and just like I think one of the things I heard and I liked was about learning to trust the person behind the mask.
Mhm.
And I realized like I hadn't been doing that fully. Um but this book I'm now reading called Unmasking Autism by Dr. Devin Price, really great book so far. I'm enjoying it. Talked about how the mask is usually what you'll notice is that it covers up traits that you're either afraid of or has been like considered like unacceptable, something like that. And so, yeah, I realized like a lot of my like outgoing nature and loudness and like full expression had been like suppressed, and so I've been working through but from unmasking slowly, like letting these energies like come up within me, and they each of them has a grievance, right, a feeling as well as like joy and happiness and like new things I'm learning about myself. Like yeah, like the way I like to stim. The autistic people, we need to stim. It's part of
What
like
is STEM?
self-stimulatory behavior. It's one of the ways that we self-regulate our nervous system. So when our nervous system can get when it can get overloaded, um, we can stim. It could be something like flapping your arms around, which is actually what I like to do. Um, and we can do it in a response of like if we're upset, um, or if we want to express joy. And some stimming can be like probably a little more self-harming. Others are not harmful at all. So I like, for me, I like moving around, like my arms around. I get very excited. I also I have an echolalia or how do you say it? Echolalia. So like I'll get like a word stuck in my head and I'll just kind of like repeat the word or repeat the number, or I'll get a song stuck in my head and like just a portion of the song and I need to like sing it out. You've always had this problem.
Oh.
I know you don't, but like I need to like
You like poop the song out
I
of
know,
my brain.
and I know, but like I need to. And like I've been repressing it. I'm still been like repressing it.
Yeah,
but like
you can definitely do that when you're alone in the gym. That's
I can't.
a great time.
No, it doesn't.
Not put it into my head.
No, it doesn't work that way.
You gotta poop it in someone else's
when I'm in the
head.
gym, I'm in the gym. But like we gotta find a way so that I can like do that thing.
Yeah, get in the car
sing
alone.
that chorus.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Not around me.
I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I'll get you earplugs when I need to like do it because I just need to do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's one of the things where you can see this in real time, like working out, like as a couple, because he's not autistic, and like I can understand that would be really annoying.
And my nervous system is extremely sensitive.
Right, and like very difficult. Yeah, and so we're finding our way through it together. But yeah, so that's just like one of the things, right? What was my point? I was getting about masking and stuff.
What is a mask?
Well, it's the interface between our autism or our ADHD or any other any neurodivergence. You can have a mask. It's our interface with the neurotypical population, and the environment that they've created, though it doesn't like necessarily work for us, but it's the way that we can interact and survive in the world. So
And you had described it once, like, you know, you have like your like nervous system is plugged into
well,
it. Like it
yeah.
becomes
So
part of
like
you.
it's so like the mask is like wired into our neurological makeup. And so it's like pulling off the mask. It's like it has to unwire one by one, piece by piece,
Because you think it's you.
because you think
And
it's
this is
you,
how
right?
autism and other, you know, neurodivergent traits can go unnoticed because you think that the mask is you.
Yeah.
So like good luck, you know, unless you have the inner work or a profound self-awareness.
Yeah. So, I'm still in the process of unmasking. I don't like, I've read, a couple stories of people who are on the other side of it, and they just feel so wonderful and liberated and free. And that feels really good. And that's what I'm working on moving toward. I feel like there is a big part of me that is there because I'd already been creating the perfect environment for myself like all this time. But I felt like I wasn't fully like living the life that I created. And so I just feel like I'm stepping into it more and more. But I have like pretty much like the right environment, home environment. And um yeah, Jeff and I have been, adjusting our relationship and going deeper because we always felt
Mhm.
there was this like block in our intimacy. Like our intimacy is deep and like it's continued to deepen over the last 11 years. But like we could always feel this one thing, like this one little block.
Mhm.
And it wasn't little really. It felt little. And we just assumed it was probably like childhood trauma and we just needed to keep doing our inner healing work, but it was just actually my autism because like you were interfacing once again with my mask,
Mhm.
and but behind that mask was like me that's like, who the fuck is he kissing? Like this is like some Gone with the Wind romance movie. Like I don't like that. I don't, what the fuck? I don't sorry, I don't mean so like for instance, when he's kissing me, I need like heavy pressure on my mouth. I don't like light pressure. I don't like
This is very intimate.
I know it is very intimate, but like I think it's really important, which is why I'm mentioning it. So, I feel like since I came out as autistic, I felt like I had permission because it's very sensitive, especially I was gonna say especially for men to like hear feedback, about intimacy
You should
related
want to hear feedback
issues.
as a man.
Right, you should want to. But like, you know, men can take it like there's something wrong with them. And so it's like it's always felt like a really sensitive subject to broach.
It's sensitive.
And so I felt like finally, like I was able to communicate like my needs better to you. Like I like to be kissed like this, like planted on me heavy. I know that's not what you see in the movies. I know that's not what
It's not what I model it after, by the
no,
way.
or like maybe partners of the past that you had.
That's not what I model after.
But anyway, my point is like I felt like I got to finally like communicate like this is how I am and like this is what
Mhm.
I like. And I felt just so much more like happier and relaxed. And I
Mhm.
felt like our intimacy block has been in the process of dissolving.
So all of this didn't just happen on accident. All of this awareness that you're hearing Shaleia and I espouse, all of this insight, all of this thrilling new territory of our lives that we're uncovering, this good that you see in this podcast, it didn't happen by accident. It
No.
was very intentional uncovering. We didn't know that this was the thing we'd uncover, right? You don't know what you're going to find when you're digging. But if you keep digging in your inner world, and by digging, I don't mean carving stuff out, I mean a process of soothing, of healing, of loving, of taking the layers of the onion of your mind and peeling them back to find out who you really are inside.
Mhm.
That is the ascension process. That is the same spiritual process that all real religious spirituality takes you to. And that's where you're going to find God is within yourself. That's where you find union. That's how you purify your consciousness in order to manifest and attract to yourself what it is that harmonizes with you and your vibration. And if you have a dream in your heart that you hold, you'll attract it to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the result of the inner work.
Yeah.
When you do the inner work,
Well earned.
yeah, a long time,
long time. Well
coming.
earned inner work.
When you do the inner work, you get the results. And this is something that we unearthed. We're currently unpacking.
Yeah.
And we're sharing with you. And that right there, that little formula, it's what we do. We are building unionism with this formula. And we're not the only ones in the inner world mining. We're a part of a community, a collective who's doing this with us together, that we all together
Yes.
are with the pickaxe of the mirror exercise in the mind,
Well,
chipping
this was
away.
the beautiful thing is, Jeff and I, we shared this story, last month in our private forum.
We started in live class,
and Jeff and I teach live classes. And that's when I actually first came out. And then, between sharing it in class and then doing it for, if you buy Twin Flame Ascension School and or Life Purpose class, you get to join our private group,
private members only forum.
And so there's Jeff and I will pop in there and do videos and posts as well.
That's where the community
hub is. It's really juicy. I love it in there. And if you're really on your twin flame journey or thinking about embarking on your twin flame journey, you're going to derive a lot of value from the private forum group and the community members in there.
That's where the people who are serious about this work and manifesting harmonious union hang out. And if you want to accelerate your ascension process, you should hang out around other people who want the same things as you. And there's nowhere else on the planet that is a more conducive environment and community than what we've created here and that what we're all doing together.
Yeah. So twinflamesuniverse.com. Also, I'm going to provide links in the description of some of these tests as well as our own website. So like if you think you'd like to explore whether you're autistic and or ADHD, I'm going to just link in the description. I also encourage you to do it anyway, even if you think you're neurotypical, because I don't think you really know per se your neural wiring until you start self-testing. I think it's really valuable to know. I think it's valuable to know yourself, period. I think that's just part of the spiritual journey and the spiritual path. This is why I did it. A major reason why I did it, because I'm on my spiritual journey and therefore I know thyself. And so I think it was one of the most empowering and liberating experiences of my life, what happened to us last month. And so back to my point is, so I shared this awareness with our community members and our live students, and like a mass awakening happened in our community. Like so many people resonated with our story and took the test themselves and realized that they identified as autistic and or ADHD or both. There's just been so much, like an outpouring of like love and support and awakening and awareness. Like now people can like know themselves better. They can know about the neurodivergence better. They can advocate for their needs better. They can have better relationships now, maybe a better work life as well. It really puts in perspective the twin flame journey, because then I think you feel way more confident approaching your twin flame journey and your union as your true authentic self. I always was my authentic self with you. I felt like I always was. That's what attracted. And me too. I was attracted to your authenticity. And I knew that like inside, I just wanted someone to know me. Like I just wanted at least one person to like really know who I was. And I felt like with you, I could always be like myself, or like most of myself that I was in touch with. And now I just feel like this whole new level has been awakened, and I'm even more of myself. And you're even more crazy about me.
I am.
He's even more attracted to me now. It's just so nice. Yeah, I love that. Twin flames. It's like a whole new relationship within an already awesome relationship.
It just keeps going deeper. The more you do this process, it's more than just insight. You get deeper intimacy with your twin flame.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm
It's a sweet
really,
process.
I'm really happy and proud of our community for having the courage and bravery to like look into their neural wiring and to look into their mental health and take it a lot more seriously, so that, you know, they could lead happier, healthier lives and have a really successful like twin flame union and harmonious twin flame union. So yeah, that was cool. That was one of the cool byproducts of me coming out, which is why I just wanted to do it on the public platform, public audience as well, so that you guys know more about our story. I think our story is really important, and I think our story is very valuable, and I don't think our story is trivial at all. It's really important to a lot of people, and it's obviously important to us. So that was partly why we wanted to do this podcast, was to share this important aspect of ourselves in our life, and, you know, maybe touch other people in the process, and help the viewer, help you guys know us better, and perhaps know yourself better, and to like not feel alone. If you feel alone, like, oh honey, you're not alone.
Like so many people came out as autistic or ADHD
oh yeah, like
in the forum.
Swarms. I was just like, yay, we're a neurodiverse community. I was just so happy, you know. And there are neurotypical people, of course, like in our community. But it's just like, it just made our community feel that much more awesome. Like, oh,
it's a very inclusive space.
it's so inclusive, you know, like everyone is literally welcome, and like you can be yourself. Like we want you to be yourself.
That's the goal, is total inclusivity.
Yeah. That's union. That's union. So, yeah.
I feel pretty good about this. I think this is a really good, you know, precursor to sharing to the next podcast, which we teased in the first podcast, which is our backstory.
Our origin story.
Origin story. Yeah, I can't wait to tell
like
that.
Like X-Men, but Jeff and Shaleia.
Yeah. What X-Men would you be if you were an X-Men?
Oh, I always liked Storm.
I was gonna say the same about myself. Yeah, these two. I don't know. I'd probably be Dr. X. He's the guy who started it all?
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah,
the bald guy with the eye.
Oh, that's Magneto.
Magneto. Nah, he's kind of evil.
He's evil. I think you meant Dr. X.
Dr. X.
He's
yeah,
cool.
I'd be that guy.
He's got like the mind abilities and like, I don't know.
That's
really
the X-Men
cool.
that I would be.
Yeah,
I'd be Storm.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you so much for joining us in our second podcast. We're so happy to be back, communicating with you, having a relationship with you, and going deeper with you. And we have so much more to come.
And we're on all podcast platforms, or at least some of them. We're on Apple Podcasts / iTunes, and we are on Spotify, as well as this here YouTube. So we will see you guys in the next podcast.
God bless.
God bless.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Take care.
Bye-bye.